break in sight. Hamas's Gaza chief surrounded. Terror chief Yahya Sinwar in sight. Israel says that he's trapped in bunker. First true win in Israel's hunt. Explosive development in Gaza war. That is our big focus on 5 Live.
There is no confirmation whether Yahya Sinwar, the Gaza Strip commander of the Hamas, has in fact been surrounded, but prominent news outlets both in Israel and outside are reporting that he has been identified to be present in a bunker somewhere in Gaza City. What is the reality? We're going to talk about it here on 5 Live. Thanks so much for being with me. Here are the headlines. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar apologizes after facing wide outrage over his birth control gyan. Prime Minister Modi hits out, says India Alliance flag bearer disrespects women.
विधानसभा के अंदर जिस सभा में माताएं बहनें भी मौजूद थी, कोई कल्पना नहीं कर सकता है ऐसी भाषा में बत्ती बातें की.
Pollution clampdown in the national capital. Schools up to 9th standard move to online mode till November the 18th. Farm fires continue unabated in neighbouring Punjab. Cash for query row explodes. BJP MP Nishikant Dubey claims Lokpal has ordered a CBI probe against Trinamool's Mahua Moitra. The Trinamool MP hits back, says CBI should probe Adani first. Tamil Nadu BJP chief claims BJP will remove all Periyar statues installed near temples across the state. DMK hits back, says K. Annamalai is anti-Tamil. Telangana Mantri KT Ramarao says he's confident BRS will sweep into Telangana once again. Rubbishes all claims of an alliance with the BJP.
These two national parties are fundamentally responsible for the backwardness of India after 75 years. दोनों पार्टियां national पार्टियां disaster है इंडिया के लिए.
The name Yahya Sinwar may or may not be ringing a bell. If you've been watching India Today's war reporting and coverage from the Gaza front in Israel, the name most certainly is familiar to you. Viewer, Yahya Sinwar is the commander of the Gaza Strip of the Hamas terrorist movement and the terrorist group. And according to some reports in the United Kingdom and elsewhere, this Hamas commander, one of the biggest fish in this terrorist organization, has reportedly been cornered in Gaza City by Israeli defense forces. More than a month after the Hamas unleashed its carnage on Israel, a month after non-stop airstrikes, ground operations, and continuing Hamas rocket attacks, there seems to be, there's no confirmation of it, but there could be some kind of a big breakthrough in sight for Israel, the first of many breakthroughs according to the Jewish state. Yahya Sinwar is the Hamas's Gaza chief. We're going to put pictures of him solely on your screen right now. The man said to be the one responsible, the architect of the October 7th terrorist attack, has reportedly been surrounded by Israel's defense forces, even though no official word about this has emerged just yet. In a moment, I'll tell you why the elimination or the potential elimination of Yahya Sinwar is so important and could be a turning point in this battle. Israel's defense minister has said that Yahya Sinwar, the Gaza Strip chief of the Hamas, is hiding in his bunker in Gaza City and is without contact with his associates. Yahya Sinwar has been dubbed Israel's most wanted and a dead man walking. He's basically being described in the Israeli press as Israel's Osama bin Laden. Although Israel has not specified Yahya's exact location, not even acknowledged that perhaps he has been trapped and surrounded in a bunker, some reports in Europe and even in the Israeli press are now suggesting that the Hamas Gaza chief could be hiding under one of Gaza's biggest hospitals, the Al-Shifa hospital, which has come under a great deal of scrutiny because an entire Hamas command structure is understood to have been built below this specific hospital. The Israeli military claims that there was a network of tunnels under the Al-Shifa hospital and that many sections of it are being used as Hamas command and control centers.
אנחנו נמצאים, כוחות צה"ל, בלב העיר עזה. הם הגיעו מצפון ומדרום. הם הסתערו בתאום מוחלט בין כוחות היבשה לכוחות האוויר והים. הם נשענים על מודיעין מדויק, הם מתמרנים ברגל, בנגמשים, בטנקים, עם כוחות הנדסה מכל הכיוונים, והיעד שלהם הוא אחד. מחבלי החמאס בעזה, התשתיות שלהם, המפקדים שלהם, הבונקרים, חדרי הקשר, הם הולכים ומהדקים את החנק סביב העיר עזה.
Now, through these 32 days, you've been seeing Israel announce various different Hamas commanders, deputy commanders, battalion commanders, etc. being eliminated. But Yahya Sinwar is the first big fish whose death may be imminent, and that's the reason why it bears me telling you a little bit more about him. Because if he is indeed surrounded, if those reports are true, if he is about to be eliminated by the Israeli Defense Forces, this would be the first big direct blow to the command structure of the Hamas. Let me tell you a little bit more about him. He's called the little Hitler of Hamas. He's called the little Hitler of Hamas. That's what Yahya Sinwar's name is. He's the Hamas chief of the Gaza Strip, the operational commander of the Hamas for the entire Gaza Strip. Because remember, his bosses are sitting abroad in Qatar and elsewhere. He is currently officially Israel's most wanted man in this current crisis. He is held directly responsible above all others for what happened on October the 7th. Not even his bosses like Ismail Haniyeh, the chairman of Hamas and others, are being blamed at the same level as Yahya Sinwar. The terror attack on October the 7th is being placed directly at this man's door. He rose to prominence in the 1980s as someone called the Whisperer, advising the Hamas founder originally. He was a young warrior at that time, grew up to be a mastermind terrorist. He helped build the Hamas military wing called the Qassam Brigades, which are now basically a terrorist organization. He was also in charge of the Hamas Majd force, which is a suicide squad. Majd means glory. He cultivated a reputation for ruthlessness and violence, but also very, very detailed planning. He was jailed by the Israeli military tribunal at one point of time for multiple murders. He studied Hebrew while he was in prison, urged a truce with Hamas as well, is said to be charismatic as a personality, but a man of few words and a quick temper. And if you look online, there are various speeches and sound bites of him. So he has been directly responsible for a great amount of the ideology, the recruitment, and the overall operational command of the Hamas within the Gaza Strip. I want to go across live to get a word in from our experts, our reporters, our editors on the ground. Rajesh Pawar is live with me from Tel Aviv. Gaurav Sawant with me from here in the studio. Rajesh, apart from a couple of stray reports that are coming in from Europe and the Israeli press, no official word has come in from the Israel government or the IDF about any specifics. Yahya Gallant, the defense minister, has talked about Yahya Sinwar, cowering in his bunker somewhere. But if these turn out to be correct, obviously nothing specific will come out because this is an unfolding operation. But if Yahya Sinwar is indeed in a bunker surrounded by IDF forces somewhere in Gaza City, this could be one of the first big, most meaningful victories for Israel in this war so far.
Very true, Shiv. If this man is cornered now and somehow if IDF is able to get him, it will be one of the biggest victories of IDF so far. This has not yet been confirmed whether He is there in this headquarters, which is under the hospital Al-Shifa. I have tried to speak to the IDF spokesperson here. He has categorically denied that we have not issued any such statement saying that he's cornered there. But there's a great possibility that probably he will be there. And there are two things which can happen now. There are very two important things which can happen. One, if he's eliminated in these operations of IDF, then it will be a big blow to the military hierarchy of Hamas and their command and control structure. But the second big thing, which is more important, is that I'm hearing from certain sources that there might be a bargain deal now. Because if he's in that headquarters under Al-Shifa hospital, then he's a dead man. It's a matter of time now. So they're going to offer him a deal that we will let you live, but in exchange for those hostages which were taken by Hamas on 7th of October. So this deal is likely to be made if this man is present under Al-Shifa right now. Shiv.
Very, very important. You know, Gaurav, he's called Little Hitler. He's called Israel's Osama bin Laden. It is true that Israel blames this man, Yahya Sinwar, more than they even blame Ismail Haniyeh and others for what happened on October the 7th, Gaurav. So that means that getting him is absolutely imperative, dead or alive.
More dead than alive, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what Israel wants to do at this point of time, is to neutralize this terrorist. The officiating prime minister, as far as Hamas is concerned, of the Gaza Strip, but somebody who's masterminded this terror strike on the 7th of October, someone who was actually involved in the nuts and bolts of planning, and someone who, according to Israel's intelligence, stayed back in the Gaza Strip. There were some rumors initially that seemed to indicate that he'd fled and had gone to Iran. Some of the other leadership, as you well know, is at the moment in Qatar, but Israel says all of them, and especially Yahya Sinwar, remains a dead man walking. He will be neutralized sooner than later, because Israel is clear. They will ensure all the masterminds of this terror attack and all those who executed the terror strike will ultimately be neutralized, to send across that message that none of them pose a threat to Israel in future. As far as the hostages are concerned, Israel has repeatedly said, whether it's their ministers or their members of parliament or even the IDF, top priority for them is to get the 240 plus hostages back and safe. The shelling will stop, the bombing will stop, the operations will stop till the moment those people are returned. But if they are not returned, the bombing will intensify. Will they also take on the Al-Shifa hospital and the areas around? Shiv, they're getting very close to the Al-Shifa hospital. North Gaza does not have Hamas, is what the IDF now says. They've taken complete control, and inch by inch they're moving forward. One building very close to the Al-Shifa hospital was targeted yesterday, and there was a lot of sympathetic detonation, which means that was also a storage facility. The main explosion took place, which was the missile strike, and then multiple other explosions. So at least one fuel dump and one missile base they've been able to neutralize, Shiv.
Very, very interesting. So this is, this entire war, which has lasted 32 days and counting now, sits on a razor's edge right now. As both Rajesh and Gaurav have told us, dead or alive, this man needs to be taken care of as far as Israel is concerned. But the question of the hostages continues to loom very large and influence everything going forward. I want to show you, viewer, Rajesh and Gaurav, stay with me, on a map, the area that we're talking about. Now, this is Gaza. It's 41 kilometers long, remember. It's 12 kilometers wide at its, widest point, 6 kilometers wide in the northern areas. That is Gaza City. That's the location. That's the location where Yahya Sinwar is understood to be. Apparently hiding inside some kind of a bunker. There are no images, no pictures that have been put out of this, not even an official confirmation. But this is what sources are telling us is indeed the case. Now, Israel's defense minister has confirmed. He said that Yahya Sinwar is hiding in that bunker in Gaza City. It's being said that this bunker is 200 feet below the ground. So it is safe from the kind of bunker-busting munitions and bombs being dropped from Israeli fighter jets. Remember, the Hamas tunnel network, called the Gaza Metro, because of how proficiently it's been, created, runs under schools, hospitals, and residences. And what we've created here is just a visual depiction, not very far from the reality, of what the Gaza Metro actually looks like. It's in this kind of a bunker, not the kind of mud bunker you're thinking of mentally, viewer. These are concretized, highly fabricated, highly advanced tunnels and bunkers where the Hamas leadership in Gaza might actually be hiding. So it's in a bunker of this kind that Yahya Sinwar could actually be. Rajesh, coming back to you on the Yahya Sinwar factor, the things that are being said about him so far, that he's maybe hiding inside a bunker, etc. What kind of effect would it have, Rajesh, if he is eliminated? Because I've been seeing reports also, in the British press quoting some lower rung Hamas officials and terrorists saying that the leadership has abandoned us and they are completely in disarray. They're getting away with it. So if Israel is able to kill someone as senior as Yahya Sinwar, that would cause a lot of chaos within whatever remains of the organization. Isn't that true?
Very true, Shiv. That will happen. But you see, there are two other factors which needs to be considered. One is the information warfare, as we always talk in every war. Right now, all internet and telecommunication all over Gaza Strip has been cut off. They've been cut off from all kind of communication. Now, the lower cadres of Hamas are not aware what their higher commanders want. Even the radio communication has been jammed. So the communication between the higher top leadership and the lower cadre of Hamas is virtually zero right now. So when they receive news like this from news outlets that their higher leadership has abandoned them, it will affect their morale badly and it will affect their war effort in a big way. That is one factor. Second is about the depth of these bunkers. See, right now, IDF is using a bomb called daisy cutters, which they have used largely in Afghanistan as well, and bunker bursting bombs. They can go up to 60 to 70 meters under the ground and can destroy everything underground, only up to 60 to 70 meters. But as you said, that his bunker can be more than 100 meters down, then these bombs will be virtually ineffective on that. So IDF will have to perforce physically into the headquarters, which is underground, and go to these depths in case they want to somehow extricate this man and neutralize him. Shiv.
This is just a symbol. What Gaurav and Rajesh have been reporting from Israel, I saw a bit of it too in some of those presentations, is the incredible, advanced techniques that Hamas has been offered by countries like Iran in the construction of such bunkers. These are not rabbit holes. These are actual metro-level bunkers and subterranean constructions that allow large-scale infrastructure, depots, storage areas, command and control centers, places with sensors, ground sensors, etc., giving the Hamas a kind of capability that is truly a nightmare as far as a ground invasion is concerned. Gaurav, before I come back to you, I want to remind our viewers that 32 days into this war, the three major faces of Hamas are still out there. Yahya Sinwar is the one we're talking about right now. He's the Gaza chief of the Hamas. He's the acting prime minister as well there, if you can even use such a word. He is reported to be in a bunker and surrounded by Israeli forces. The man in the middle is Ismail Haniyeh. He's the political chief of the Hamas. He's also the chairman of the Hamas. He's believed to be living a peaceful life in Qatar. And then you've got Khalid Mashal, who's the foreign affairs chief, also one of the most visible faces of the Hamas. He is also understood to be in Qatar. Gaurav, Yahya Sinwar in Gaza Strip, reportedly surrounded, hopefully surrounded. The other two, Ismail and Khalid, senior functionaries, chairman, foreign affairs chief, both hiding in Qatar. I'm sure they're not any longer in their penthouses. They must have gone into hiding in Qatar as well. But there is no information. The big elephant in the room, Gaurav, is Mohammed Daif, the guest, the terrorist known as the guest. Elusive. People only whisper about him in Israel and the Gaza Strip. There's no information about him, Gaurav.
Shiv, you're absolutely right. Whether it is the butcher of Khan Yunus or Mohammed Daif, they've actually now gone underground, literally and figuratively. Post-October 7, when that worst terror attack was carried out in Israel, Israel has started a very massive counter-offensive, and they're systematically taking out the Hamas leadership. And not just these top commanders, their aim is the top commanders, including the political leadership, but it's also, for example, the terrorists who were building these rockets, making these rockets. One of
Yeah.
those terrorists was neutralized just last night. 4 terrorists were neutralized in a synchronized air and ground operation where ground forces moved in. They lit up the target, and the F-15s came out with their precision-guided munition and took them out. And then ground operations then went in once again, retrieved even the bodies. So, Shiv, it's a very systematic operation. Some of the IDF officers you and I spoke to when we were in Israel said they had an entire list of who are the Hamas commanders. They have a hierarchy. They have the hierarchy, which is the anti-tank leadership, which is the rocket-making leadership, which is the information warfare leadership, and who are the cadres there. Who's handling the brigade in the north? Who's handling the brigade in the center? Who's handling the battalions in the south? So they have that entire hierarchy, and one by one, they're taking all of them out based on very specific intelligence they've been able to gather. Will they go down in the tunnels? Well, they're saying that's a tactical level military decision and they will not reveal it. But there are several ways. As soon as they have the hostages out, they could even flood the tunnels and ensure that these terrorists, meet a watery grave inside. But it's the hostages. They have to get them out first before they take that big step to ensure that the Gaza Strip is never used by Hamas again.
And remember, even flooding the tunnels will be a very, very difficult task to accomplish because there are, according to some estimates, about 300 kilometers of tunnels in the Gaza Strip. Where are these terrorists hiding? Which part of the tunnels are these terrorists hiding? Where are the hostages kept? Is there a risk to the hostages if the tunnels are flooded? Can the Israeli Defense Forces, guarantee the safety of all of those hostages? These are some of the most difficult questions facing the forces inside the Gaza Strip right now. Rajesh and Gaurav, stay with me for a minute longer. I spoke to the Israeli ambassador to Delhi a couple of days ago, and I asked him about how time may be running out for the Hamas Gaza Strip chief, Yahya Sinwar, but what about the top leadership, those pictures that we just showed you of those hiding abroad? Israel's aim is clear, total decimation of Hamas and its leaders. But how is Israel going to get to Hamas leaders sitting outside of the Gaza Strip? Here's what he told me. Listen very carefully. The Strip. You talked about, Ambassador, countries like Qatar and others, and I'll come to Iran in a bit, who are playing mediators. These are also countries that, provide accommodation to the chairman of Hamas. I want to know how Israel regards this, because unlike Iran, Qatar has relations with Israel. There are diplomatic relations with Israel, which becomes very, very complicated at a time like this. Define for us, at a time when Israel says only the complete decimation of Hamas can be the acceptable end game to this action right now. What about those sitting in places outside Israel, sir, and outside Gaza?
So, Qatar, we don't have relations. I mean, we have connections to Qatar. Yes. We negotiate. We used to have their commercial office in the past, closed past times, but we have connections to Qatar. Unfortunately, you see the Muslim Brotherhood nature of the countries. These are the countries who are some of the support assistance that they give Hamas was done with okay from Israel for humanitarian and salaries and stuff like that. And they are there. They are the ones who can negotiate because they are the ones who have some leverage over Hamas. That's the very simple fact of the matter. So unfortunately, I mean, I see on Qatar, one of the biggest problems of Qatar is the fact that Al Jazeera is there for so many 20-odd years, poisoning more and more generations of Muslims around the world. In their Arabic language, they are really a tool of poisoning a lot of the problems we have now and we will see in the future around the world are instigated in one way or another by Al Jazeera. So it's a big problem, but now you go to the people who have leverage. Turkey has, they host some leaders, so they have some leverage over them. Qatar is the same. You do business with the people you can because it's very important to release the hostages.
And some related breaking news just coming in. India has just ordered recently 4 advanced Israeli drones. 4 Israeli Hermes 900 advanced surveillance drones have been ordered by India from Israel for the Indian Army and the Indian Navy. Very interestingly, these are to be assembled in India by an Adani India-Israel joint venture in Telangana. The Hermes 900 is an advanced high-performance drone that is being used extensively over the Gaza Strip at this point of time. In the 2 weeks that I spent on the war front, I sighted and spotted this Hermes 900 drone several times. If you look at my social media feed, you will see lots of grainy pictures of this very drone over the Gaza Strip. They can be armed. They are capable of very long endurance surveillance from high altitude, providing very detailed imagery and real-time data about what India needs to look at. So these drones, 4 of them for now, many more probably later, are going to be assembled by the Adani-Israel joint venture in Telangana for the Indian Army and the Indian Navy. Keep watching India Today. We continue to report the Israel war very detailed, in a very detailed manner here on India Today.